This is Campus News, reporting the top stories from colleges and universities.
Next on Campus News. No need for spring cleaning in this garage. We'll show you how art students set up shop in an unlikely place.
Pint-sized engineers cut their teeth in toothpick engineering. We'll show you how these tiny hands build tiny bridges.
Biology students at NDSU introduce kids to their scaly friends. We've got an inside look at Darwin Day.
But first, we'll tell you how college students feel about the race to the White House. Good morning and welcome to Campus News. I'm Tyrell Philly.
And I'm Betsy Harmson.
It will be 8 long months until we choose the next commander-in-chief.
But campaign season is already in full swing. We recently caught up with some local college groups to see what they think of the upcoming election.
You turn on the TV and are bombarded with campaign ads, analysis, and debates, trying to appeal to the general public. So what do college students think of the election? Here at NDSU, the college Republicans are having a watch party for the most recent Republican debate, watching closely, trying to figure out who is the best fit for the country. But that's not the only thing they do.
We go door knocking, we will go walk in parades for them, and we try to get students rallied up to go and vote in November.
Over at MSUM, the college Democrats do similar things to get college students involved.
Letting kids know what they stand for. If they want to actually volunteer or phone call or door knock, we can set them up with organizers for each candidate and do that as well.
With Donald Trump controlling the primaries and Hillary Clinton edging Bernie Sanders, some college students still have hope for other candidates.
I understand what people are facing because I faced it myself.
The reason why I like Rubio is I think he is a really good, he bridges the divide between our party. He helps millennials like myself find a stronger place in the party.
I'm prepared and ready to take it on, and I hope.
Not only is she the most qualified candidate we've ever had run for office, but I feel she is the fighter we need in the White House to make change happen.
So who is going to win the election in November?
It will be Trump versus Clinton, and I do believe Trump will win. We'll beat her, but my hopeful prediction is that it's a Trump versus Rubio race, and then Rubio will ultimately beat him.
Inherited $200 million. You know where Donald Trump would be right now? Selling watches in Manhattan.
Hillary versus Trump, and I think Hillary's got it in the bag.
From March to November, young voters could feel the burn and vote for Bernie Sanders. Or we could see Rubio coming from behind and win. Anything can happen in the political world.
The results for Super Tuesday are in. On the Republican side, Donald Trump secured 316 delegates. Texas Senator Ted Cruz won 226, and Florida Senator Marco Rubio went home with 106 delegates. For the Democrats, Secretary Hillary Clinton won 486 delegates, bringing her total to over 1,000. And Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders won 305 delegates, bringing his total to 408.
MSUM students are all too familiar with the struggles of financial aid and student debt. That's why students on campus are showing enthusiasm for popular presidential candidate Bernie Sanders. Reporter Levi Lash shows us students that are feeling the burn.
I believe that today, when we talk about public education, it should include free tuition at public colleges and universities. That's what I believe.
Bernie Sanders has been gaining momentum over the last few months, due in no small part to the message he has been sending: universal higher education.
I think that's great. I don't know what college student wouldn't want their college paid for.
Sanders announced his candidacy in May of 2015 and was immediately met with opposition. Media platforms such as Huffington Post and rival for the Democratic nomination Hillary Clinton both initially dismissed Sanders as unelectable. As a Democratic socialist and independent, Sanders faces challenges on the road to becoming a potential presidential frontrunner. But Sanders' message of universal higher education has struck a chord with young voters who face rising tuition costs and inflated interest rates.
Once you graduate high school, you're forced with the decision, okay, am I going to go to college or am I not? And if you do decide you're going to go to college, a lot of us actually have to think about, how are we going to pay for this?
Despite the growing support on campus for Sanders, some students feel federally funded education may be unrealistic.
It would seem that it would create a lot more burden on the government budget, but education is a really important thing.
The goal of Sanders' universal higher education concept is to make college more accessible to prospective students from lower and middle-class families.
That's a fact.
Levi Lass, Campus News.
Sanders says his plan is to tax the top % of Wall Street speculators to fund the $75 billion per year plan.
Minnesota State University Moorhead hosted a Minnesota caucus. Students and other voters gathered by the hundreds to help decide the Democratic candidate. On Super Tuesday, 865 Democratic delegates were up for grabs, while 595 were available for the Republicans. Spanning across 11 states, this day is crucial for every campaign.
This is incredible. I mean, this is so exciting for me to see, all the energy here, all the people here coming out tonight. This is really incredible.
The Republican caucus, meanwhile, took place in Moorhead High School, with Donald Trump taking the most delegates on Super Tuesday. But Marco Rubio walked away with winning Minnesota.
The University of Minnesota Duluth is going through major changes due to a $4.3 million budget shortfall. The 5 colleges and schools that make up UMD could soon become 3. The merging of 2 colleges would save $1 million. UMD is sending the proposal to reduce the deficit to the University of Minnesota system. If approved, the changes would start in 2017. UMD started with a $12 million shortfall in 2014. The school blames declining enrollment and less staff funding. It's a federal financial aid question 2/3 of full-time college students have reported answering. Have you ever been convicted of a drug-related offense?
For more than 10 years, the federal government has decided the fate of some students' financial aid status based on their answer. However, that could soon change. A group of U.S. senators introduced a bill that would allow students to admit to convictions without losing all federal help.
It is a self-reported field on the FAFSA, so it does rely on honesty.
The bill is expected to be voted on in the upcoming election. The current law does not punish students for juvenile offenses, tobacco, and alcohol convictions, but it does cover even minor drug use. Sanford Health will be giving $3 million to update Concordia's integrated science complex. The $45 million project is updating the Ivers and Jones Science Building with 19 teaching labs and 16 classrooms. Concordia raised $27 million so far. Sanford CEO Kelby Kravenhoft says Sanford is moved by the market impact and focus on health careers at Concordia. Construction will begin in April and is to be completed by August 2017.
A new report by Harvard University is recommending a shift from ACTs and SATs to community service when deciding who colleges should accept as students. The Harvard Graduate School of Education put out the report, Turning the Tide, Inspiring Concern for Others and the Common Good Through College Admissions. In it, they call for colleges to consider the community service a student did in high school. Lead author and Harvard senior lecturer Richard Wiesbord says the goal of the report is to see students living more balanced lives. He adds it's not small attempts at community service they're looking at, but what kind of person you are in your community. While some educators are on board, they caution they aren't lowering their standards or abandoning test scores or taking high-level classes when considering admissions.
Students from NDSU and MSUM have come together to create art in an unusual place, the Garage just off Main Street in Fargo.
The Garage functions as a place for the students to meet together and work on their art. Reporter Haley Gerlach shows us how these students have turned an average garage into a creative outlet.
This isn't your regular garage. It's a garage used to create art. Tyler Geffro, a student at NDSU, has brought a talented team of other art students together to create an art garage.
After a while, we had 8 people that were interested, and they all did various, works of art. And then it kind of turned into this little club, and we wanted to start doing shows and stuff. So
Tyler says he hopes the art garage can be something that will impact the community and bring more opportunities for the public to enjoy it.
If someone's looking for a collection of art, or they have a big wall that they are lacking, some sort of art piece, we would like to help contribute to that.
MSUM student Nikayla Snyder is a member of the art group and uses this garage to let her creative juices flow.
I think it's really important, especially at this age as a student, to really put your work out there and do things that aren't assignments, but actually to do things that you love and that you really want to do.
Using each other as fellow collaborators to create beautiful pieces of art, The students working at the Art Garage say they hope their art will inspire other students to be creative. With photographer Annie Pearson, Haley Gerlach, Campus News.
The student artists are working on getting the garage ready for exhibits that people will be able to view in the future.
MSUM seniors in the art department are showing off their work at MSUM, but it will be the last time as students. Over the next 2 months, seniors will present their pieces at the Roland Dill Center of the Arts Gallery. The exhibits are broken down into 3 groups that are up for 2 to 3 weeks. Each is kicked off with a reception from 4 to 6 p.m. The first is held this Thursday. The next reception is on March 31st, and the final reception is on April 21st. The exhibit is open to both the students and the public.
A Grammy Award-winning musician is preparing to jazz up MSUM's campus with a concert tonight. Jazz trumpeter and composer Randy Brecker is performing at MSUM's Hanson Theater in the Roland Dill Center for the Arts tonight at 7:30. Brecker has performed for over 4 decades, and his music is featured in albums by James Taylor, Bruce Springsteen, and Frank Sinatra. He's joined by his wife, Italian saxophonist Ada Ravati. Top jazz musicians from the Fargo Moorhead area are joining the husband and wife duo. Tickets are on sale at MSUM's box office. Though usually used to get that last pesky bit of food from your teeth, young engineers put toothpicks to a different use.
Reporter Veronica Utek shows us how the youngsters are building more than bridges.
With plenty of cracking and clashing, students from around the Fargo Moorhead area came together for the 40th annual Wooden Bridge Competition.
I get to see all my friends and everybody else's bridges, just see how everybody else expresses how they're creative building.
This competition was also part of some classes' projects. Although this was an engineering project, many described this as a creative outlet.
Having this as a challenge, it allows them to express themselves a little bit with the different designs, which are really cool, and some of the research they can do and show themselves.
As the stakes stacked high, the competitors were already scheming about what they would do with the $100 cash prize.
My mom thinks I should put it in my savings account, but I'm going to put it in my wallet.
While some took their masterpieces home, others placed them in the CMU garbage to stay as water under the toothpick bridge. With photographer Skylar Zach, Veronica Utek, Campus News.
Students are welcome to use any wooden household materials and glue. This event was a part of the National Engineers Week.
The University of North Dakota is trying to move on after a dean steps down amidst controversy. Robert Hill stepped down in December. An internal investigation found he engaged in inappropriate behavior and didn't comply with the UND Code of Conduct. Hill's interim replacement is Cindy Jutinen. Jutinen served as the Associate Dean for Research and Graduate Education. She's expected to serve until June 30th of 2017. Jutinen has been with UND since 1994.
The International Writing Centers Week is a global celebration of the work writing centers do around the world. At NDSU, one of the events for the week was to honor the work of William Shakespeare with a class devoted to writing just like this playwriter. The Write Like Shakespeare class worked in conjunction with the FM Shakespeare Fest.
This workshop was meant to highlight the words and phrases that it is believed that Shakespeare was the first to put into writing that we still commonly use today.
Pierce says phrases like foul play, fair play, and it's all Greek to me were penned by Shakespeare.
Students at NDSU are learning what it takes to run their own business. 800 Cafe will open the first week of March and run through the 6th. These students will be learning about food production, and all the food will be made from scratch.
Dragon Frost brought MSUM students together for a mac and cheese feed at the Center of the Arts. Dragon Frost is a series of different events during the month of February. The Homecoming and Dragon Frost Committee organizes these events. This year, Dragon Frost decided to have a mac and cheese feed for students and faculty.
It's something new, and who likes mac and cheese? Everybody likes mac and cheese, right?
Dragon Frost happens every year at MSUM and has become a tradition for the campus. In the past, students have enjoyed events like a chili feed and an ice cream social.
On the MSUM campus, there is an abundance of diversity among the students and staff. Reporter Nathan Lavka shows us how the Office of Diversity and Inclusion put together a passing panel.
In the CMU on the MSUM campus,
A panel of 4 people spoke about their personal experiences with their heritage.
Not that I have to explain myself and my background, but I'd like to.
They talked about the term passing, which is a term used when one person is accepted among more than one heritage, such as being Caucasian and Native American. Among these panelists were students Marissa Fanning, who gave her definition of passing.
To me, it's when people think I'm white, so they think that it's okay to say racist things or stereotypes.
And Aaron Doan, who had never spoken about his heritage quite like this.
It was cool to have other people on the panel that were different race than me, to see what their experiences were growing up.
Throughout the panel, each of these panelists gave their own personal stories of growing up with issues along the lines of stereotyping, and in some cases struggling to accept their heritage.
And I had admitted that I had kind of suppressed the fact that I am Native American and not really owned up to it or taken honor in it. So it was kind of like a doorway to take that step into being, like sharing what it's like to be Native American.
The panel was said by many to be very informative about the subject of passing and the difficulty of dealing with the issue. With photographer Eli Plunkett, this is Nathan Lofka, Campus News.
The panelists say they want the audience to walk away with an understanding of passing and to be more accepting of people of multicultural backgrounds.
One older than average student at MSUM proves to others that it's okay to never stop learning and to continue gaining those lifelong skills.
Reporter Benjamin Reiki introduces us to a student to find out what it's like going to college later in life.
So we needed something that...
Lori Eli knows the meaning of the phrase better late than never. Formerly a secretary at Village Family Service Center, she's now a geoscience major at MSUM. All of this at age 62.
I stopped working, and part of the reason was the fact that I didn't have a college degree.
Dragon dollars. Lori is considered a non-traditional student. The National Center for Education Statistics has no exact definition for the term, but typically it refers to older students or students who only attend college part-time.
I've always wanted to have higher education, and MSU was the only place I considered that I wanted to do college. I like dragons.
During her time at Minnesota State University Moorhead, Lori has found there are some additional benefits to going to college later in life.
The fact that once you're 62, your college credits are considerably less than what they are for a normal student.
Lori only pays about $20 per credit, as opposed to a normal student who pays around $230. We went to the financial aid offices to find out why.
It's good PR to have older students come in. It's a good mix. I mean, a lot of our younger traditional age students could learn a lot probably from them, and vice versa.
The college hopes that this mix of generations will help students of all ages better meet their academic goals. Just don't ask Lori what she'll be doing afterwards.
The standard response is, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
Benjamin Reiki, Campus News.
Lori says her inspiration for becoming a geoscience major was her large rock collection.
And now we turn it over to Haley Foster for a look at this week's sports. Haley, looks like an MSUM basketball player is doing a heck of a job.
That's right, but it didn't come naturally for her. One MSUM women's basketball player didn't have a great start to her career, but with a little time, determination, and heart, she developed her skills to become one of the top players on the team. Reporter Tanner Robinson explores how she worked to improve her play over the years.
In Nemzek Fieldhouse, hard-working, determined athletes of the MSUM women's basketball team work hard to get ready for whomever they're facing on the court. However, no one has worked harder than junior guard Morgan Banasic, who was a medical redshirt as a freshman. She says that, from the start, many people, including herself, doubted her abilities as a player. But she explains she developed the will to keep fighting, thanks to some encouraging words from someone very close to her.
My dad is kind of a really big supporter of me, and and I would talk to him on the phone, and he'd be like, "You just don't give up, you can do it."
Banasic has been the top scorer for the Dragons this season, a title she says she had never envisioned herself in.
I knew someone kind of had to take over that role, so I kind of took it upon myself to just be a leader in that way.
Bonasik's positive attitude and ability to work hard transfer well from practice to a game. And according to senior center Heather Stracey, Bonasik's style of play has rubbed off on her as well as the rest of the team.
Like, we can always count on her. We always know that she's going to show up and play for every game.
Bonasik wants to be remembered by her teammates as a hardworking athlete who never quits, no matter how tough the circumstances are. With photographer Kaylee Omang, Tanner Robinson, Campus News Sports.
Despite having one more year of eligibility, Bonazik intends to graduate this coming May with a bachelor's degree in both biology and chemistry. With the NFL Combine fresh in our minds, a certain North Dakota State University football player is gaining attention around the league. Former NDSU quarterback Carson Wentz is expected to be taken off the board early in this year's NFL Draft. Wentz is coming off his second straight FBS title for the Bison. NFL analysts say Wentz's height, hand width, and athleticism are the reasons for him to be considered a high draft pick. The NFL Draft will begin on Thursday, April 28th, and will end Saturday, April 30th. A few lucky Minnesota State University Moorhead students will have a chance to run in the Fargo Marathon for free. MSUM President Ann Blackhurst has reimbursed the entry fee for 10 people to encourage students to run. Blackhurst will also be running in the marathon. For the second year in a row, the marathon will run right through MSUM's campus. This year's race will be held on May 21st, but runners are encouraged to register by March 31st. North Dakota State University and the Fargo Moorhead Redhawks have suffered a tragic loss without taking the field. The voice of the Bison and Redhawks, Scott Miller, passed away at the age of 57 after a battle with skin cancer. Miller was known for his signature play call, "My Oh My," heard throughout his broadcast. Fellow broadcasters, coaches, and journalists remember Miller as a very genuine man who cared deeply about his colleagues and the players whose games he announced. Miller first began his career in the Fargo Moorhead area with WDAY, later moving to KFGO. He became the voice of NDSU football, basketball, and the Redhawks in 1996. With the regular season over, MSUM's basketball teams are focusing on the conference tournament and what lies ahead. Reporter Nick Budig takes a look at both teams as the players try and make a run for the conference title.
For a few players, the first round was a chance to leave a lasting impression on the hometown crowd. Fans came out in full force to cheer on both teams and were rewarded with big wins. The men's team came out strong against a Wayne State team that they had previously beaten just a few weeks ago. For the women's team, it had been a while since they left Upper Iowa with a dominating win. But all was the same as they gave the traveling Peacocks a case of deja vu with another big win. Senior guard Tyler Vaughn had a game high in points with 26 for the men, so he plans on taking it one game at a time, but already has his focus set on Augustana.
We got a lot of confidence in ourselves. You know, we're gonna hopefully end up playing Augustana again in the conference tournament and championship game. So hopefully we can play better than we did last time and come out with the win. And
as for the women, junior guard Morgan Bonasik, who led the team in minutes against Upper Iowa, believes in order to go far, they must continue to play as a team.
I think we can definitely go a long way. We have to play a lot harder and stuff, but if we all play together and just play the defense and rebound, I think we're going to go far.
With photographer Nicole Strobel, Nick Budig, Campus News.
The women's season came to an end when they lost in a close game to Augustana, 79-74. The men's team also lost to Augustana, 89-76 in the conference tournament championship game on Tuesday night. The men will have a chance to play in the NCAA Central Region Tournament in mid-March. Wow, you guys, that game on Tuesday, it was quite a heartbreaker. I really thought we had them this time. Did you watch the game?
Yeah, I did give it a view. It's too bad that they lost, but I'm looking forward to the tournament coming up. Thanks, Haley. NDSU students and the community are learning about Charles Darwin with the help of some reptilian friends.
Reporter Tyler Jensen brings us our story of how these students celebrate Darwin Day.
In NDSU's Festival Concert Hall, people are gathering to study evolution.
What would you like?
And celebrate the birthday of its most famous researcher, Charles Darwin. At the event, people can get homemade honey, birthday cake,
chocolate or vanilla,
and learn more about animals, both alive and through props. NDSU zoology major Casey Beauclair was one of the interns who brought animals to the event. Among them, Norbert, the bearded dragon.
Norbert's a sweetheart. He's an awesome guy.
Beauclair says this is his second year at the event. He says it's great to come here with animals like Norbert.
A lot of people don't get a good, idea of evolution, and I think this whole timeline and everything about Darwin Days is just, it's good for kids to get, a basic idea of evolution.
This Darwin Day is the sixth one the university has done. Dr. Julia Bauscher has been involved since the beginning.
Hi, chocolate or vanilla?
For her, Darwin Day is important as it brings education to people who are not just NDSU students.
Well, many people in our department, the Department of Biology, study evolution, and so we think it's a really great opportunity to talk to members of the community about evolution.
Sea stars are included in the echinoderms, brittle stars are included in the echinoderms. Brittle stars have 5 arms.
While it was fun for the community to hang out with the reptiles, NDSU students and faculty focused on showing the importance of evolution.
So you get the same thing on either side. It's got to be.
People came to Darwin Day in what Dr. Bauscher says is record numbers. With photographer Skylar Zach, Tyler Jensen, Campus News.
For NDSU, Darwin Day finished off a week of events related to evolution. Darwin Day festivities are held across the world each year. And that's it for this edition of Campus News.
We leave you with another look at MSUM's Toothpick Bridge competition.
Thanks for joining us and have a great week.
Campus News is produced by the Television News Workshop in the School of Communication and Journalism at Minnesota State University Moorhead in cooperation with Prairie Public Television.